What movie, TV show, etc., had heroes so insufferable you were actively rooting for the villain? Skyline. That movie has always been my go-to example for this type of question. An alien invasion movie where every single character was such an insufferable jackass that I was actively rooting for the aliens to wipe out humanity. I used to watch Gold Rush because I enjoyed watching the Hoffman crew fail. I rooted for Scott Pilgrim until he dumped Knives Chow. Then I rooted for everyone else. Tweety Bird. I hated that bitch as a kid. The Walking Dead. Zombies just had more personality and charm. Jerry from Tom and Jerry. I always rooted against the instigator in that show. Sadly, Jerry almost always won regardless of who the instigator was. Until Dawn. The game was fun, but the characters were all so shallow and boring I was actively hoping they would all die. I seem to be one of the only people to have watched it, which isn't surprising. It had a lore of problems, but Sheldon, the Utopian from Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix. He's basically Superman who has been doing his thing since the 30s. He's an insufferable dick the entire time. I think the show wanted you to question his ideology, but to me it seemed clear his way of doing things was obviously not working and his outright refusal to even engage in discussions about this were quite maddening. Also, the way he treats his kids is just completely unjustifiable. I'm told that one of the main changes from the comics is that he's brutally murdered by all the other supers at the beginning, and I don't know why this wasn't included in the series. I've always found Superman a difficult character to invest in, but this show just ramped up all his uninteresting qualities and made him a self-righteous know-it-all to boot. The Blacklist has Liz Keane, who is absolutely insufferable. My daughter at 8 cheered for the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. Note: Lego version. Disney's Sleeping Beauty. The three good fairies created every bit of the horrible shit that happened. They're the ones who talked smack to an evil witch and got the baby cursed. Then they lose the kid the day before her 16th birthday. It's extremely annoying. Maleficent turned into a dragon and never actually killed anyone. I'd have been pissed, too. Clarity. Once Upon a Time. Not so much Emma Swan, she was alright. But the Charmings were super annoying. Totally rooted for the evil queen. P.S. Still kinda salty that Swan Queen never happened. Elite. When that girl was killed in season 1, I didn't even care who the killer was in terms of, oh no, she's been murdered, who done it? They were a godsend for killing her off. I guess I'm the only one who watched Iron Fist. Conrad Hawkins in The Resident. I didn't mind his attitude or his actions, but man does he have an obnoxious resting fuckboy face. I mean, I would say, the boys, but that's kinda the whole premise of the show. By the end of Death Note I just wanted Light to kill everyone and get it over with. Without L the story just completely lost its way. Independence Day 2 I was actively rooting for the main cast minus Jeff Goldblum to die. I was rooting for Caillou's mom to just slap the absolute shit out of her bitch-ass son. Chris McCandless in Call of the Wild. A spoiled brat rich kid who left to discover himself, like all his favorite philosophers. Never once doing any research to realize they were armchair quarterbacks and general pieces of shit, and never once prepared for the wild. Left behind a decent life and friends for selfish reasons and being a massive idiot. I was so glad at the end of the book because the story was over. I don't get why people find him amazing or inspiring. Wile E. Coyote. He's educated, industrious, ingenious, and dedicated. He puts all his effort into this, and he never gives up despite the constant failure. Whereas the hero is just a meeping mofo with superpowers. I rooted for the iceberg. Everyone else on that boat was an insufferable twat. Except Kathy Bates. She's unsinkable. I care a lot, frankly. I'm not even sure who the protagonist was supposed to be. I was just hoping for a Gangland-style finale. Just everyone dying in a shootout or something. Nobody had any redeeming qualities in this movie. I rooted for the butler in Scary Movie 2. Twilight. Oh how insufferable Bella was with her, oh woe is me. I'm so plain and quiet, when all the guys were drooling after her. Edward was a frickin' pedo and Jacob was an annoying nice guy. Just take them all out. Now you see me. They all just seem so smug and overly convinced of their own coolness, that I was rooting for the police. The longer the CWDC shows dragged on, the more I started actively rooting against the heroes. The stories just got too repetitive and they kept introducing annoying characters in shows that already had annoying leads. The Flash was probably the worst at this. I honestly cannot stand Iris from CW Flash. She actually wasn't so bad pre-Savitar, when she was actually supposed to die. But holy shit, she was such a different person once they saved Barry from the Speed Force. I wonder if the show would have been better off had she just been killed instead of HR, who was a fantastic character. Claire from Heroes. Save the cheerleader, save the world. She was so ungrateful and complained about having perfect health. I wanted to kill her myself, lol. It's a book, but Bertha Rochester is the only character in Jane Eyre I didn't want to die a long, slow, terrible death. I didn't necessarily root for the villains, but I found every hero in the Umbrella Academy completely insufferable and annoying. Dora the Explorer. Robin Hood. Prince of Thieves. Kevin Costner was pretty miscast as Robin Hood and looked kind of lost throughout. Alan Rickman's Sheriff of Nottingham, however, was a scene-chewing delight. Much more fun than the hero. Truth or Dare. It's a horror movie where a demon plays the game Truth or Dare on these college kids, but all of them are all a bunch of assholes that have 5% personality, except one guy, he had 8%, but he was a sexual harassment lawsuit waiting to happen. So I was all geared for them to die until the ending basically blew that away by the girls live streaming themselves and having the live streamers joining the game, so now all these people are in a game that can kill them, which allows the two girls a lot of time to survive. So yeah, our main character basically sacrificed thousands so they can have a few more years of life. Heroes more like selfish holes. Wile E. Coyote. I always thought the Roadrunner was a show-off and a jerk. I wanted Negan in The Walking Dead to win. He was so well played and such an arsehole on a gotta love it kind of way. Plus Rick was just starting to get on my nerves with his crap. Sophia. The first Sophia was just insufferable. Amber and Cedric when they were villains were the best. Although some of the villains were just as insufferable as Sophia. Gumball is an absolute douchebag. Carl on The Walking Dead. That little shit did everything he wasn't supposed to do and got lots of others killed, but never had the decency to die himself. Until he did. The Thundercats. I was bad at picking up on cues as to who to like and dislike as a kid, so I was upset that all the screen time went to the people who were invading a place already settled and inhabited, and fighting against the people whose home it was. Twilight. I was forced to watch the first movie and the best part was the villain. Tim Burton's Batman. The Joker is so much better than Batman and I don't really care for many Jack Nicholson characters. The 100 was awful and I wanted everyone in that show to be wiped out by fire. Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. Fuck that Captain Hammer guy. Cloverfield. 5 minutes into the movie, as a matter of fact. There was that movie about Nazis hiding in the South Pole by stealing organs. An American teacher or something was on board with them and brought them students as new donors while they were figuring out how to revive Mechaninja Hitler Bot 2000. The main cast was so stupid and annoying that by the end of the movie I was rooting for the Nazis to just kill everyone. Another one is Alien Siege or something. Aliens come to Earth because they need our blood to survive against some horrible sickness. After a short war, Earth surrenders and has to offer people to be grind up in a cure while the aliens search for a more permanent solution. In return we get cool tech and such. So it's actually a pretty good deal, as you can just send your rapist and such. Of course the US fucks it up by having some kind of lottery determine who gets killed instead of emptying death row. So people rebel, kick out the poor aliens and ruin it for everyone. The Grinch. I don't like his redemption. The Whoville sucks. IDK if this counts, but I wanted Carl from The Walking Dead, dead. About my third scene watching him LMAO. I was rooting against Julia Roberts the entire time in Eat, Pray, Love. That movie was so irritating I thought it should have been called Barf Curse Hate. Pokemon. I'm still waiting for a spin-off centered on Team Rocket. The remake of Charlie's Angels. These girls were sociopaths, holy shit. The main characters in the Blair Witch Project were so annoying and stupid that they made me root for the witch to get them all. Black Star did not deserve Tsubaki, and I literally moaned with irritation whenever he was on the screen during Soul Eater. Same for Mayuri and Steins. Gate annoying as fuck. Lego Movie. You have the bad guy that just doesn't want two destructive brats ruining his beyond expensive project and the good guy creating chaos. Seriously, I don't even want to think how much money went into that city. Does Ocean's 11 count? Because Benedict was a grade a shit. Note: if the so-called heroes being the evil ones is the intention, please don't put it here. Avatar, the Cameron movie, not TLA. The Walking Dead actually made me root for zombies sometimes. The Sopranos. There wasn't anyone I was rooting for. They're just all terrible people, and I hoped they would die while watching the series, especially Tony's kids. Inuyasha. God, he sucked. James Bond. I'm always rooting for someone to kill him. I don't know what it is, but to me he's like the worst, most annoying spy ever. I'm not sure if this counts. Transformers 4. I thought the human villains and Lockdown were a lot more interesting than the Autobots. But, and this is gonna sound weird, I wasn't really rooting for them to win so much as I wished they were in a better movie. I like Lockdown in any version of Transformers, and this didn't disappoint, but the human villains were legitimately good villains. Their reasons are understandable enough, but their methods brutal enough to make them not completely unlikable. They were the sort of villains that, while you understood, legitimately wanted to see fail. Shame that the heroes were beige versions of the Autobots. The Office. Justice for Toby. Goku from DBZ, DBS. He constantly puts his friends, family and even the Earth in peril against foes so powerful that they can literally destroy a planet in a flash, and always gets beat up but somehow finds strength out of nowhere, achieves a new transformation and saves the day every time. Even though Vegeta isn't a villain anymore and more of anti-hero, he's always been my favorite, plus he banged Bulma. Rent. The landlord let them all stay on his property for a year, rent-free, decides enough is enough, and he's the asshole? Breaking Bad. Gus should have won. For that matter, while there were a few, we are mustache-twirling evil characters, most of the villains had far better codes than Walter, and far better reasons to be the way they were. The Pokemon animated show. I just generally like Team Rocket better. X-Files. Dana Scully. I could never get very far into the series. I get she was the skeptic, but how many times do you have to be confronted with something incredible and unexplainable before you begin to lay off the constant doubt? Mulder must have been emotionally drained and fed up with her a few cases in. Ultron from Avengers. Age of Ultron. Ultron is one of my favorite comic book villains, so seeing him in live action was awesome and a blast for me. And then he died and I was kinda upset, but I still cheered for him. Farscape had some episodes where John Crichton was so much of an asshole I was really hoping Scorpius would finally get the wormhole tech he was chasing his ass for so he could be rid of that damn human. Breaking Bad. But I think that was kind of the point. The aliens in Aliens. Are they meant to all be detestable aside from Ripley? Is that the point? I kinda hate Harry Potter. Fear the Walking Dead. Mainly the current cast. Degrassi is bad at this. At some point halfway through a season they glom onto the same 2 or 3 characters, and the show just becomes all about them for the next 4 seasons until you start rooting for the villain characters. But then the villain character always gets this redemption arc, and the show becomes all about them. It's a vicious cycle. Izzy on Grey's Anatomy. The worst. I really wanted an episode where the ghosts devoured her. Lady Mary on Downton Abbey. Girl needs to learn to be grateful for all she has, instead of moping and shit-stirring. Let's have a peasant revolt. It's been said before and I'll say it again. Jar Jar Binks. I recently rewatched the prequels thinking that Jar Jar wasn't so bad. My memory has to be off. It's been a decade or so since I've seen the prequels, it can't be that bad. Oh no, it was so much worse. My tolerance for his dumb fuckery must have severely tanked because I had no patience for his clumsiness or his stupidity. Every time he opened his mouth I wanted to punch him. Literally any anime who has a good guy whose only motivation is doing good for the sake of being a good guy. Elena from the Vampire Diaries. There was a Dan Brown novel, I think it was Digital Fortress, and the main character was the worst. And they kept narrowly avoiding death for no damn reason. At the climax they had a bleeding wound in shark-infested water and they saran wrapped the wound then peed on it and the sharks ignored them. And I was so angry. I wanted them to die. Those old Roadrunner cartoons. Kept waiting for that blue fucker to get a boulder dropped on his ass. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Roger is so damn annoying I just can't like him. I rooted against Greg Heffley in Diary of a Wimpy Kid and DJ Tanner in Fuller House. Both are completely selfish. Thanks for watching. See you later.